Hey, what's going on YouTube? Adam C here. So yesterday I meant to move just one fish from one tank to another and it turned into total chaos. So let's walk through what happened and why there's now a whole bunch of fish in different tanks. Let's start off with the reason for moving a single fish, and the fish that I wanted to move was my smallest Buccochromis lepturus green. I wanted to move him into this tank with the heterotania so I could move I decided to move the largest lepturus green male from my 220 into my 125. So to do that, I felt I needed to get the smaller guy out of there because he was at risk of being eaten. So I moved the smaller fish into this tank. It took me about a half hour to catch him because he has the speed of the flash. So I'm throwing water everywhere. There's water all over the carpet. I finally catch him, so I move him in here. All is well. So now I got to move on to catching the big male to move him into the 125 in hopes of having him get some color and maybe even start breeding with the large female in there. So let's see where it went from there. So you can see the 125, I told you I was just going to move the big male in here with all the other lepturus greens, and we were going to go from there. Well, the big male's in here, but now also is my group of 4 wild-caught Taeniolethronot furcicata. So what ended up happening was I ended up catching the big male, and I put him in here with the other 4. So I had a whole lepturus green group in here. And this male, who now is super calm, he just went berserk. I mean, he was chasing every other fish in there. He was going hard at them. So I decided he was a little bit too big at this time to move in here. So I decided maybe he just needs a little bit more space with the other fish, and he'll do fine. So I was thinking, I've got a group of 4 wild-caught Taeniolethronot furcicata that are pretty much near, breeding size. So I thought, in the meantime, let's just move all the lepturus green into the 220, let them have their space, they can all get used to each other, and let's move a species into this 125, being these Taeniolethronops, that may be ready to breed right now, and give them a little bit of a chance to breed while these lepturus green are growing up. So here, we can look at the lepturus green now on the 220. So I got all of the lepturus green, including the big male, into this 220, thinking that they would have enough space to deal with each other and grow and be fine for the meantime. Not necessarily to breed, but just gives them more space to grow and get them into breeding shape. But that big lepturus green male still was just not having it at this point. He was not only attacking the other lepturus green, but I think the presence of females brought out a little bit of aggression in him, and he was going after everybody. And I was afraid if I left him in there even for one night, he was going to run some fish out of the top of this tank. So I had to move the big lepturus green. I had to catch him again, and I had to move him back in here with the Taeniolethronot furcicata. So all this while, and I don't have to tell you guys that have multiple tanks, I'm netting fish from one tank, moving them into the other tank, back and forth, like 10 or 12 times. That just makes the floor covered in water. One of the fish flopped out of the net, went under the couch, so I had to push the couch up and handle the fish by my hands. Keep that in mind for the end of the story. So all the fish are well, but in the meantime, the floor is absolutely drenched. I smell like fish from grabbing a fish with my hands. I'm soaking wet. There's water all over the tanks. The entire basement, where we have our entertainment center over by the bar, which you can't see, the entire basement smells like fish from me stirring up substrate in trying to catch these fish. So right when I'm all done with everything and I've got all the fish where I want them, I'm finally happy with it, and my wife comes downstairs and reminds me, hey, you didn't forget that we have friends coming over tonight for movie night in the basement, did you? And I stood there covered in water, smelling like fish. The whole basement smells like fish, and I couldn't lie about it. I completely forgot, and I was put in the doghouse because of it. So the fish keeping hobby did me no favors yesterday between me and the wife. But we're all good now, and all the fish are, I guess, where they're going to be at for a while. But again, I certainly don't need to tell you guys who have multiple tanks that you have problems now and then, and your best laid plans don't always work. But the good thing to come out of all this is when you have this many fish, it really is a benefit for you to have multiple tanks. If I only had one tank and had put all these fish together like I had hoped and it hadn't worked out, I have no option. I have no recourse to try to make things work any better. I'm just stuck with what I have. But when you have what I have 9 tanks now, you can usually make things work one way or the other. Not that you need 9 tanks for that, but it is nice as a fish keeper to have multiple tanks for that reason alone. Is usually, you know, your first idea of what you want to have happen, rarely is that ever gonna, you know, work out smoothly. You have to kind of massage it, move a fish here, move a fish there, put a fish in timeout, so on and so forth. But in the end, if you put in the effort, it seems to work out. You just might be in trouble for an evening. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the story. We'll see where it goes from here, if I get any fry, yes or no. But the ultimate plan for this tank is to put all the Leptourus green in here and let them have that. I'm just going to have to make it work one way or the other with this big male, or I will have to sell the big male if he's just not going to play along. So I am on Instagram at AdamCSolo. If you guys want to check that out, that would be cool. And I'll see you guys next time.